All right, inverses of graphs. We talked about inverses simply means swap x and y. So if we're looking at the inverse of a graph, that's exactly what we're going to do again. We're going to swap x and y. Now, if you look up the definition of the inverse of a graph, it's a reflection across the line y equals x. So, and most of you probably forgot about what line y equals x looks like, so let me remind you real quick. Y equals x is just a line with a slope of 1 that goes through the y-intercept. So that's the line y equals x, and you're going to see how our line ends up reflecting across that. So here's the process I want you to go through. I want you to pick, since it's a line, there's not any quote-unquote important points, so let's just pick 2 points, okay? That point right there, which is the point -1, 0, and then we're going to pick another point, let's say that point, which is the point 3, 2. Now what I want you to do is find the inverse of those 2 points. Well, the inverse of that point is just 0, -1. Again, swap x and y. And then the inverse of this point is 2, 3. All right, now we're going to plot the inverse line. So 0, -1 is there. And then 2, 3 is there, and then we draw a line, and that line is the inverse. Now the cool thing that you see is where our line intersects the point y equals x, that's where our 2 lines end up crossing, because remember, it's just a fold. A reflection is a fold. So if I fold along these lines, and this is where it ends up matching up. All right, so let's look at a graph of another one. So this one's not a line, so there are some important points. I'm going to pick this point. Basically, anywhere that it crosses is a nice, pretty lattice point are the points I'm going to pick. So I chose the point 1, -2. I chose the point 2, -1, and I also chose the point 5, 0. Find the inverses of those points. So the inverses are going to be -2, 1, -1, 2, and 0, 5. Okay, those are the inverses. Plot those points. -2, 1, -1, 2, 0, 5. And remember, we started at this point, so this is the point that we start at, and we draw a line from there. So that would be the inverse of that one. And again, if I draw in the line y equals x, you can see if I fold across that line how this is going to go over there and match up with that. All right, let's look at 2 more graphs. Graph of a quadratic. Important points to choose would obviously be the vertex, and then probably choose 1 point on each side of the vertex. So I have chosen the points -3, 2. I chose the point -1, -1, and I chose the point 1, 2. Okay, inverses of those points will be 2, -3. -1, -1 is its own inverse, so it really doesn't change. And then 2, 1. So -1, -1 is there. 2, -3, 2, 1. Draw my picture. And there's my inverse. Again, if I draw the line y equals x, you see that, hey, wherever it crosses, it's just a reflection. All right, one last graph. I want you to try this one on your own. Pick some important points, swap the points, and then graph the new point. So try it on your own. This is a cubic. All right, important points. Important point there, important point there, important point there. You should have chose this and then anywhere else that it crosses. So you could have chose either of those 2 points, really doesn't matter. But you definitely need this point and then at least one on each side. So I'm going to go with, I guess I'll go with here. So -2, -4. I have to include the point 0, 0, and then 2, 4 is also one of my points. Okay, look at the inverses of those. So that's -4, -2. That's 0, 0. That's 4, 2. So do the inverse, -4, -2, 0, 0, and 4, 2. What you notice about this one, let's see, sorry, -4, -2. Oops, sorry, -4, -2 is there. 0, 0 is obviously here, and then 4, 2 is there. So you notice, again, if you want to choose a couple more points on this one, maybe the point -1, -1. So that's another point that's important, and the point 1, 1. You'll notice how this thing kind of curves around a little bit. So you can choose as many points as you want to kind of make this thing match up. But it's just a reflection across the line, y equals x. Choose your important points and graph it. Some of them are going to need more important points than others. A line, any points will do, just 2 of them. On a square root graph like that, you need to use the starting point, at least one other point. A quadratic, you need to use the vertex and then a point on each side. A cubic, you might need to use 4 or 5 points, okay, just because it's so curvy. All right, hope that helps you out with doing inverses of graphs.